All right, let's dive into one of the most foundational family dramas in all of history, straight out of the book of Genesis. This is a story packed with incredible joy, some really fierce conflict, and a single chapter that, believe it or not, would go on to shape the destiny of nations. So the story opens with laughter. But this isn't just any laugh, This is the sound of a lifelong weight just being lifted. It's the sound of a promise finally coming true for Sarah, a woman who had pretty much given up all hope of ever having a child. And here he is. That promise made real. The birth of Isaac. I mean, after decades and decades of waiting, that divine covenant with Abraham and Sarah is finally fulfilled. Their heir has arrived. Now, to really get this scale of this moment, you have to consider this number. Abraham was 100 years old. 100! This wasn't just a late-in-life baby. In the context of this story, this was an absolute miracle. It was proof that the promise was truly divine. So, of course, the celebration that follows is just massive. A huge feast is held to mark Isaac being weaned, which was a major milestone back then. And for a moment, everything seems perfect. The family feels complete, the future is secure, but that harmony, it is about to be completely shattered. Because just as quickly as that joy arrived, this incredibly painful family conflict just erupts. The very celebration that was meant to honor the promised son becomes the stage for the family's division. And this is the moment it all changes. Sarah sees Ishmael, Abraham's first son, born through her servant Hagar, mocking Isaac. Now, was it just innocent child's play, or was it something more malicious? We don't really know. But in Sarah's eyes, it was a direct threat to her son's future and his inheritance. And this really lays out the core tension, doesn't it? On one side, you have Ishmael. He's the firstborn, sure, but he's the son of a servant. On the other side is Isaac. He's the secondborn, but he is the son of the promise. And in this moment, Sarah decides this family just isn't big enough for both of them. Her reaction is just swift and absolute. She goes to Abraham with this demand. And it's not a suggestion, it's an ultimatum. You can just imagine how this feels for Abraham, who loves his first son. It's a truly heartbreaking, impossible choice. So at this total impasse, God intervenes. He tells a heartbroken Abraham to go ahead and listen to Sarah. The primary lineage will flow through Isaac. But, and this is so critical, he also makes a powerful promise for Ishmael. He won't be just cast aside. He too will become the father of a great nation. Well, the consequence of this decision is immediate, and it is brutal. Hagar and Ishmael are cast out, and their story shifts completely to this desperate fight for survival out in the harsh, unforgiving wilderness. And their journey into despair is just devastatingly quick. They're sent away with barely any supplies, and of course, the water runs out. Hagar, totally convinced her son is about to die, can't even bear to watch. She puts him under a bush and sits far away, just weeping in complete hopelessness. But just when you think all hope is lost, a voice cuts through the silence of the desert. This is not the end of their story. It's actually an incredible turning point. An angel's voice breaks the silence, calling out directly to Hagar. And listen closely to the words here. God has heard the voice of the boy. It's not just the mother's cries. It's the child's own distress that triggers this divine rescue. And right here, that promise that was made to Abraham is now repeated directly to Hagar. Think about how powerful it is. It's an affirmation that Ishmael is not forgotten. His destiny isn't just to survive, but to thrive and become the founder of his own great nation. And then comes the physical salvation. God doesn't just offer comforting words. He provides. He opens Hagar's eyes, and she sees a well of water that was there the whole time. It's this beautiful symbol of divine providence, saving them from certain death. Okay, so with one son's future now secured in the wilderness, the story pivots to how Abraham secures his other son's future in the land. And we move from a drama of survival to one of, believe it or not, politics, resources, and diplomacy. So both Abraham and the local king, a guy named Abimelech, realize they've got a problem. Abimelech is a little wary of Abraham's growing power, and he wants a peace treaty. Abraham, on the other hand, has a much more immediate problem. The king's men have violently taken over his only well. To fix this, they make a formal agreement, a public treaty. Abraham gives some livestock to Abimelech as a gift, but then he very pointedly sets aside 7 female lambs as a separate gift. Why? Well, those 7 lambs were the physical, undeniable proof, like a living receipt, that he dug the well and it belonged to him. And this whole event leaves a permanent mark on the map. They name the place Beersheba, which literally translates to Well of the Oath, forever remembering the treaty that brought peace and established Abraham's rights in the land. So, in the end, we're left with this incredible story. It starts with one promised son, but finishes by securing the futures of 2. One gets his legacy through a direct line of inheritance, the other gets his through divine intervention out in the wilderness. It really makes you wonder, right? What does this ancient drama really tell us about how legacies are chosen, protected, and sometimes miraculously saved against all the odds?